Hey, what's up everybody? Rob here from Ram Studio Comics. Welcome back. So I'm going to walk you through drawing some poses today, and we're actually going to be using traditional art supplies. So I have a zero point 0.5 HB pencil and lead. I just accidentally made a mark there. A Pentel clickable eraser. These things are awesome. Kneaded eraser that's almost had its day in the sun, and a lead holder with a 2mm lead, and this is HB, oh sorry, 2H, forgive me, yikes. Okay, so now that you know the supplies, this is 400 series paper. Find it at any hobby store, art supply store, I'm sure you know that. So we're gonna draw some poses, and I also want to let you know that if you wanted some more intermediate lessons of what I'm getting ready to show you, and you're interested, I have a course on Udemy for how to improve your figure drawing. It's done really well over the years, and I'm adding new content to it all the time. There'll be a link in the description box below, wherever below is at this point. So let's get started. And actually below would be this way. Goodness. All right, so when drawing the body, like one of the things that I wanted to address, somebody had commented not too awfully long ago, was, I don't really know where to place the hips. Like the hips are a big tricky part with the body, right? So one of the things I want to show you is that if you start with the torso and you figure out the twist of the torso, okay, so this is going to be, let's start with the body upright, okay, and I'm going to start with very primitive shapes. So we've got a chest broken down to a kind of a oblong or stretched out rectangle with a cross section in the middle. And then for the ribs, we just have this W, okay? Doesn't get more simple than that. I just want to show you that if you really think about the basic shapes, generally you can draw anything you want. I know it just takes a lot of time to wrap your head around breaking these things down and then understanding the body where it doesn't seem so complex. This is going to be a shoulder raised, so I'm going to put this little piece of pizza right there. It looks like a little piece of pizza to me. Obviously I'm hungry. And then over here, we're going to use this little, I don't know what this is, diamond shape. I guess it's a diamond, but it's rounded over. Okay, so you could make the argument that's a diamond. So one arm's up, one arm's off to the side, maybe back. We haven't figured that out yet. So this is where you kind of get to the point where it's like, well, do I use a stick person first and then build up over top? That's fine. I tend to find myself jumping right to these shapes, and you see some people that are more advanced go right past this altogether. Depends on how many times you've done the specific pose. But the main thing I want to show you is that if you find the cross section to your torso, then you can start to think more about where the hips are going to be and how they're going to contort and twist. So for instance, if this arm's up, which we're going to say, we'll just do a little stick man arm like that. This arm's up, this arm's down, and one, the forearm's coming back up, something like that. Just real simple. So we start to think about the way that the hips would be, okay? So what I like to do is avoid drawing the hips like this. Now, why is that a problem? Now, if the person was just kind of leaning over, this would maybe make sense, but it's too aligned to the upper torso. So what I like to do is try to shift away from that and start to tilt it. And to tilt it, you want to also think about the stomach muscles twisting and also pinching. So they twist and they can pinch and contort a bit, or I guess it's still twisting, but they're not even, is what I'm trying to say. So if you draw them straight across in this kind of T section, then you're obviously going to start to get more constricted in the way that you think about the hips. So with the hips, you need to think about, I like drawing these disc shapes on the side. A lot of times you'll see me draw a line through it and do this kind of thing. But the reason why I like drawing these disc shapes is the legs actually attach to the side. So if you study the skeleton, you see how the pelvic area, pelvis area, but pelvic bone works. But what I like to do is draw these discs on the side and kind of force my thinking that I want to tilt this more. So instead of drawing a cross section that's totally straight, I want to tilt that. So like this, and same thing with the head. So now the head's up here, and I really want to show the ability to contort or twist with the neck, and the shift that you can make with the head. So for instance, actually I'm going to bring this line even further to the side of the face and across like that. So let me get rid of that other line so it's not too confusing for you to see. So like that. So look at the difference in orientation from the three main masses of the body. That's probably the most important thing for you to get right so that you're not drawing hips that are aligned to shoulders. Okay, so now that we've got that in place, we can start to place the legs and you know, extend it further. But I want the focus to really be here because, again, this is the part that I think I had a lot of problems with wrapping my head around and getting past. I was always drawing these characters upright, and the body just has an ability to twist and contort so much. And you're going to always hear me say, if you're looking to get better at this, you want to draw from people dancing, gymnasts, UFC fighters for fight poses in your storytelling. You want to look at those and you want to draw from that. You don't see me share a lot of that on the channel because, you know, you get copyright with all these different pictures. And a lot of times when you go to the photo reference sites like, you know, Quick Poses or there's a couple of them online and they're great. And I do recommend that you do figure drawing from those as well. But they look like poses. They look like somebody's trying to strike a pose for you. And that's the part I generally have a problem with. I still draw from them. They're fantastic for learning. But if you can pull it from life scenarios and then wrap your imaginative concept over it, it just looks more realistic for obvious reasons. Like, for instance, if you're seeing two guys fight in a UFC match, then that's real stuff, right? They're really trying to take each other's heads off. So their punches look more believable because they are. They're in that process of doing that. So anyways, that's just my bit on it. You know, I don't, like I said, I don't take anything away from figure drawing poses because you need to use that. And there's tons of people putting great resources out there. You can find a bunch of great ones on Pinterest, things like that. But like I said, try to also mix that in with life, and then also mix that in with studying from other artists that you admire and see their stylized representations, recreate those. I find that I learn immensely from that process. And it's funny because I've seen people down that process. They always shouldn't draw from other artists. It's like you'll copy their mistakes. Not if they're better than you. I mean, you might still copy their mistakes, but you're going to learn as well. So, you know, it's up to you to keep correcting your eye and finding mistakes like that, this forearm being way too low. You know, or any number of mistakes I'm making here. I got to keep honing my skills so that I ultimately keep correcting my mistakes as I make them and hopefully at some point quit making those mistakes. But just like that, we've got a pose going. You know, we throw in some little wedge shapes for fist or whatever. It looks like a punching pose. So I'm going to go with that. You see, I use very primitive shapes to get the ball rolling here. And this is still very much in the, you know, conceptual stage of the work. So as I refine it, I'll tweak things even further. But I'm just trying to get a mannequin that I can use to go to the next step. Now, the other thing is this. Remember how I said I like adding these disc shapes? It's good to think about the legs attaching to the side so that when you go to draw them, there's that feeling of that. Like, I think that a lot of times if you start thinking the legs attach at the bottom like this, then your range of movement becomes impaired, you know, as far as what you think that the legs are able to attain. And a lot of times, again, that's why I like studying, you know, people dancing or, you know, look at a ballet, you call them a ballet artist? I don't know if you call them an artist. Ballerina or whatever. Their legs can go wherever, you know, pretty much. So, or contortionist, how about that? But, you know, so if you're drawing Spider-Man, you're gonna look at contortionists. But you just want to take these legs and really figure out the range that they have. And like, for instance, it's real easy to want to just draw this leg over and in front. Okay, and that looks really weird, like way too much leg down here. I got to bring that up. Change the way the glute connects, and I think you get more of a bend right here. So yeah, apparently I need to study this part a little more. But again, this is kind of the boring, I'm going to erase this anyways, but this is kind of the boring way to think about it. Like it's too easy to just throw it right there. And I'm going to draw more of a profile. I've drawn this kind of leg over and over. When it has this huge range of movement, the knee could go, it can go higher, for one, can go a lot higher. And then it can also come all, out quite a distance around this way. Now, I don't want it to do that, but I definitely want it to be higher. It just looks like there's not a lot of energy to that pose. So let me push this all back, and let's bring this up significantly higher, something like this, and even further over. So I think sometimes it's good to just practice this where you probably don't settle on the first thing you draw almost ever, unless you just get lucky and you really nail it. It's feeling very natural and dynamic or whatever you're after. But generally, you need to. That's why I love these kneaded erasers, because you soft erase. You're leaving that information on the page, and then you just move it over. You can see that old decision, so I think it aids you in that next step. So let's say something like this. I feel like this all needs to be bigger, but I'm going to just bring this out more. I see lots of scribbling. And then I'm going to attach the lower leg. The knee gets pretty squared as it starts to come out like this. I'm going to attach that lower leg. Put the heel back here. Throw on a crude foot. Something like that. Okay, so pretty awkward still, but we're getting there. We're getting a step closer. This is, remember, we're still using the light lead for this reason, so that we can maneuver things around, look into the work a bit more clearly. Right. Slowly adjust proportions. Okay, and then this other leg. Now, we also want to think about the relationship of the body compared to this lower leg. So for instance, if we just throw this leg out, say we throw it out to here. Now, I know I'm drawing off the page a bit, so what I'm going to do is just draw this upper leg. But see, if we do that, it's not bad, but it doesn't really feel like we're expressing that energy this character's punching up. In fact, I would actually want to extend this arm up to make a more dynamic feel, but I feel like I want to bring this leg back a little bit further. So again, a soft erase. We can draw right through, we should draw through, to find that other leg, and let's bring it back to here. And I'm just going to say that this is basically the cutoff of the panel, because that's where we're, at with the video anyways. So let's say that something like that, we bring the leg back, get rid of this other leg, and then now what we can do is soft erase this and draw through it and make some more decisions. So let's see if this is a keeper or not. So again, using the kneaded eraser, kind of flattening out the one side. Pushing all this information back. Okay, so now, hopefully you can still see that. I believe you can. So now we take this one, and then we just go through here and kind of commit to just some of these shapes. So this is where we're shifting things and thinking a little bit more about the anatomy, what we know about muscles. Oh, there's a really bad fist there. It's supposed to be a fist. And remember, draw lightly. If you're still unsure of the shapes, give yourself time to figure them out. Nothing wrong with that. It's I've been drawing a long time, and I still have to slow down and try to find the shape. And if I can't, then I go back and pull reference. But I pull reference and I implement it into this part of the work. So I kind of I try not to lose any speed or any steps. I don't start over unless I really absolutely have to. Okay, you see this is pretty off as far as the placement of the stomach muscles, so we need to adjust those. And another way to do this too is just do the exterior a little bit more. Try not to work into the interior shapes like you see me doing here, but it just depends upon where you're at with your current level of drawing. So one of the things to maybe get yourself a little bit more comfortable with this is, as you do this stage right here, just go around the silhouette. It's good to pay attention to the silhouettes anyways. Like, you really want to get used to spotting errors within your work within the silhouette stage. It will save you a lot of heartache, but not everybody is fantastic at seeing in silhouettes. I've noticed some people are, some people aren't. They need the interior shapes to relate, but it is a very helpful exercise. So again, just kind of throwing in some basic shapes there, checking the work as I go. Okay, and I feel like that arm's a bit weird, maybe the proportions or something's not right there, but just keep on trucking for now. So it's kind of important to be able to look through what's there. So a lot of times I'll erase this back even further, but I wanted you to be able to see as much of the construction lines as possible, so that hopefully makes sense for you and how I utilize this process. But yeah, you're going to vary up the way that you utilize the intensity of each stage of line work. And the more confident you get, the more you'll need less of the buildup that you see here. I'm always amazed by watching other artists do a process like this and then realizing that I'm using way more construction lines than they are. Then it makes me want to use less. But you have to go what's natural for you. So some people are good at seeing through that, remembering their anatomy a bit better, and other people need more of the loose lines, scribbles, whatever you want to call them, to help them find the forms. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just different strokes for different folks. So again, we bring this other leg down and back, which I think looks more dynamic. Hopefully I'm on camera there. And just so it fits this character in the scene, I'll just drop a foot back here. So a little bit forced, but oh well. Sometimes you have to do this, right? Sometimes you have to force a pose. And I hope that's on camera. Okay, so now, just like that, we've got an action pose. Now, albeit less than perfect, right? It's not a great one, not my proudest day in drawing poses, but I don't know that it's a horrible one. In fact, as I refine this and shift some things around with a few revisions, I might turn this into something I like. That's another thing that happens a lot within my own artwork, where I draw something and I'm not quite feeling the energy, or like I'm not that entirely impressed with it. But by the time I keep revisiting it, it turns into something I like a lot more. Now that also goes the other way, right? You start off with something that looks really cool and you're excited about it, and then all of a sudden, as you start to refine it and drop in more of the information, it loses something. Now, generally, that's because you're losing the energy from the sketch. So sketches tend to be more energetic. That's why we talk so much about gesture drawing and things like that. But you just got to try to retain that energy. So in something like this, even though it's not the greatest, I'll keep picking at it and studying it. One thing that I'll do too is I'll actually just walk away from the artwork and then come back. It's just like flipping the work. It gives you this fresh set of eyes on it, and then you come back and go, oh, all right, I see what I'm doing wrong here. This is a funky hand. It needs to be bigger, or the forearm isn't long enough, or whatever it is that you didn't spot as you were constructing it. So there it is. That's pretty much how I go through each pose, and I would do some more, but this video somehow went longer than I was hoping for. And yeah, I'm going to bring this one to a close, I guess. So let me know what you think in the comments section below, what you want to see in the future. I'm also working on another video for you guys where I'm drawing a full page to a comic, my comic Blackstone. That's where I'm at right now. It's taken a little while because I'm recording it all in the entire process, and then I'll time-lapse through it. But so that one's coming on the way. I just wanted to let you know I'm still working on it. I haven't forgot about it. Make sure to comment in the section below. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. And as always, thank you for the support of the channel. Keep drawing, keep having fun, and bye for now.